Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the last session. Been a marathon day, I'm sure. I want to start off with a thing to wake everyone up. How many people here speak more than one language? Okay, some people. Well, I want people to think of a way to say hello in another language. And then on 3, we're all going to say hello in some other language. So most people probably know at least one other. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Bonjour. Hopefully everyone gets a chance to greet each other. I want to introduce myself quickly before I start the talk. I'm Julia Enthoven. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Kapwing. Yes, it's pronounced Kapwing, not Kapwing. It is a fully collaborative video editor, all based in the cloud, sort of like Google Docs meets Adobe Premiere, but for video creation. We help teams to make more video content faster in a fully collaborative way. And we have 21 different AI embedded workflows. We started in 2018. We have more than 25 million registered creators and tens of thousands of customers, creative teams we work with. So today I'm going to be talking about one of those AI workflows, and that is video translation. And to do that, I'm going to start off with a story about the subject of this talk. Back in February of 2022, woke up to this video going viral. In it, President Zelensky of the Ukraine is speaking Russian and addressing the Russian people. And his video has English subtitles on it. And you'll notice also that it has a Kapwing logo on it because Kapwing was used to translate this video. This experience of seeing this video go viral is really moving to me. I think it really hit home how videos can be used to create peace in the world and to enable people to share directly with people who speak a different language than they do. That was the first step that led us towards the journey of solving AI dubbing and towards the problem of AI dubbing. What Zelensky had done was not AI dubbing. That was just adding closed captions on the bottom of the video, closed captions. Dubbing is something different. It's where you actually translate the audio of a video. And to demonstrate what that looks like, I made this video a week or so ago in our San Francisco office, and I dubbed it on Kapwing. This is a low production quality video, but we support high production quality videos up to 6 gigabytes large. I'll go ahead and play that here. I'm Julia, and this video is a demo of how our AI dubbing works. This video will be translated from one language to another using AI, and the translated videos will use a version of my voice made through an AI voice clone. Cool. Unfortunately, I don't speak any other languages, but you can see here that this video is using a clone of my voice so that it sounds like I speak all of those languages. And that is what the subject of this talk is. That was a teaser. Now I want to share the agenda of what we're going to cover here. So we will cover how dubbing works, how good AI dubbing actually is today, and we'll talk practically about implementation around AI dubbing, its limitations, and how to bring it into your workflows. At the end, we'll do Q&A and discussion. So if people have questions or talking points about what's next in dubbing, we can cover those also. Okay, so starting with how dubbing works. I want to start off just by showing that what I just showed here was not movie magic. So I recorded myself making a video on Kapwing. I start by making a new project and uploading a video. Then in the Translate tab, I go ahead and kick off a dub, selecting my target language and just confirming I want to use a voice clone. Then the dub is processed all fully in the cloud. Once it loads, I can see the video, I can see the transcription and the translation side by side. I can play it. Kapwing is a fully functional video editor, so I can make other changes, changing the translation and then regenerate the dub. I can also make other changes to the canvas or the timeline if I want to. When it's done, I export it as an MP4. Kapwing is also shareable at every stage, so I can send the URL to someone else for review. For example, sending it to a native speaker to check out the video, QA it, leave comments, and we're always looking at the same version together in the browser. Going one level deeper, how does this work? How does AI dubbing work? These are the 4 phases of an AI dubbing pipeline. First of all, the step 1 is that the video is transcribed. And then once you have a transcript for the video, you translate that into the target language. Using basically Kapwing, we use, the best in class model for each language pairing when we run the translation. Next, we generate a text layer that reads out loud the transcript using a voice clone. And if there's multiple speakers in the video, we make multiple different voice clones to reflect that. Phase 2 is the timing phase. So after the text-to-speech is generated, we time out the text to the original video. And if there's any chunks of text, which take much longer or not as long to say in the target language as the original, then we make modifications to ensure that the translated text is as close to the original video as possible. And we'll talk more about this later. This is really the hardest part of an AI dubbing pipeline. Phase 3 is the manual review and editing phase. So this is where Kapwing's, AI collaboration features come in handy. AI is definitely not 100% correct, which we will cover shortly. And teams do often need to go through to make tweaks to what has been said in the video. So to the translation or to the text to speech or to the inflection or pronunciation of specific words when needed. Fortunately, Kapwing gets smarter as you use it more often, and that also helps for future dubs. Then you can also send it and save it to you don't need to save it. You can just send it to a person who speaks the native language also to get feedback and make corrections. Finally, you export the project. So if you are burning all of the layers together, you burn it back into an MP4. That's the last phase of the video processing pipeline. How good is AI dubbing today? We do a scoring of a random set of video samples with evaluators to come up with an answer to this question, because we want dubbing to get better every single cycle. And the answer is, it is not perfect. It's far from perfect. It's really a starting point for a translator to review and make corrections to when needed. I think Kapwing has one of the best AI dubbing pipelines on the market, and it's still about a 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10 being fully realistic, sounding exactly like the native speaker. This is across a few different dimensions that I mentioned here. I'll talk a little bit in the next few slides about some of the issues that arise with AI dubbing. My intention here is to give you all a sense of, could my catalog be dubbed using this technology, and where some of the limitations are currently where we stand today. The first is that phrases can sound unnatural due to pacing issues or tone. This is an example from Macron, the French president, translated into English.
It will be more independent. It's quite simple to have this will. We don't discuss all the time. Europe has been discussing for a long time.
You can see his voice is sort of sped up there. He's talking too fast. The reason that happens is because of this essential problem, which is that some languages are just longer than others, and some are just shorter than others. This is an example from one of our clients recently. They are translating a catalog of yoga videos. In English, hi team is just 2 syllables. You say it in a really upbeat, quick way. But in Japanese, the tone is different. It's more polite and a little more deferential. The phrase is just much longer. It's like 8 syllables instead of 2. And so when that translated text to speech, if we just sped up the text to speech, it would sound way too fast. It wouldn't be accurate. It wouldn't be localized. So in order to solve this problem, we do 2 different things right now. One is we sometimes slow down the original video layer. So we'll actually make there be more space in that original video chunk to say the term as naturally as possible. The second is we go back and retranslate. We actually use GPT to make more space on that same video phrase. And when that can't happen, we try to make space later in the video so that, even though the timing might be a little bit off, that we don't sacrifice the audio quality, because we think audio quality is absolutely the most important. Another issue, second, is that, transcription, although it has made huge gains, as I'm sure everyone here knows, it's still not perfect. It's far from perfect. And this is just one issue that comes up with transcription, which is that sometimes speaker diacriticization is off. It doesn't identify the right number of speakers in a video. In this example, there's 2 speakers having a conversation with each other, but the transcription only recognizes 1 speaker and only makes a voice clone for 1. And so that throws off the quality of the dub because there's not a conversation between those 2 speakers in the video. Third is that dubbed videos do not handle emotional variance well. Voice clones are very high quality in terms of matching the inflection of the original speaker if the inflection and tone and emotion is consistent throughout the original video. But if there's a lot of emotional variance or ups and downs, then the dubbed version is not as high fidelity. So here's that example here.
I usually speak with a lot of emotion, so I want to see if the AI dubbing tool is picking that up. Maybe I'm really excited and speaking like this. Or maybe I'm really sad and speaking like this. Normalmente hablo con mucha emoción, así que quiero ver si la herramienta de AI dubbing está captando eso. Tal vez estoy como muy emocionada y
We're definitely working on improving this issue also with different voice clones for different levels of expressiveness. Last issue I'll mention here is mistranslation, which is still also quite common, both in text translation and in dubbing. And especially jargon or idioms or proper nouns can be mispronounced and can use more training or instruction to make sure that they're correct in future videos to preserve the meaning, make sure the meaning is not lost. Here's an example of a few mistranslations in a row from a popular TV show.
You're not heard anywhere. I have no work. Passenger. Who is that captain anyway?
So you can see here there's a few words like passage and I have no work, which are clear mistranslations. This video needs better localization. So we think about, the AI gets better, but it really does need a human translator in the loop in order to collaborate and go from the starting place to getting to 100% perfect. I also wanted to mention that I already said dubbing is about a 7 out of 10, but it is getting better every single month. So this is a look at just the speed of that. We see that in our quality pipeline, which is something we designed in-house, but in our evaluations, AI dubbing is getting 2 to 4% better every month. So we're on track to be at about 85% quality by the end of this year. And I'm sharing that because I think that, and I'll talk some about what's next in AI dubbing, but I think that by 2028, AI dubbing will be commonplace across media teams and marketing teams in-house. And even in that case, I still think that AI dubbing is just a starting point because 85% quality is not enough. And teams to get from 85 or 70 or 85% to 100%, they will need to go through, review the transcript and make tweaks. They might change the speed of layers in the timeline, or they might change the translation itself. They might remove words from the original transcript to make more room. All of that can happen in Kapwing, as I've already mentioned. But whatever doubling pipeline you implement, if you're building one in-house, you should also think about this phase. How do you bring it into your editor, into the editing tools you use, so that you can make corrections to the video. So who uses AI dubbing? These are just the logos of some of our customers. Corporate onboarding communications teams, learning and development teams, definitely university, TV and radio stations are using AI dubbing. Fitness studios, as I already mentioned. Also emergency communications and government is a big use case. I put in here also a screenshot from a YouTube video. This one has been automatically dubbed. YouTube claims that this new multi-audio feature expands the reach of videos by 15%. So it is a way that creators can get more reach for their videos by translating into another language and reaching other audiences. I already mentioned this. AI dubbing is going to continue to improve really rapidly. It's already improving every single day. And I think that it will be really common in the future for marketing teams, instead of being structured around geos, to structure around personalities or around creators. I also think it will be common to UGC from more countries than just your own language, be able to get insights and reviews from other countries and dub those back into your native language or your primary markets. And I think that's really exciting. It means that, more niche perspectives can be shared across borders, and that unlocks hopefully a lot of cross-border collaboration and communication. So what's next in AI dubbing? A couple of things here. First is just this week, just a couple of days ago, Meta announced a new model called Llama 4. This is an open source model, and it has a unified multimodal structure, which means that it can look at text, video, and audio information all in one. This is going to be a big advancement for AI dubbing because in translating into or localizing the translated text, it can look at the video context and the audio context to suggest a translation all at the same time as the text context. So I think that this is going to lead to some big advancements. We're going to be prototyping that this week at Kapwing. YouTube has been expanding its reach of its multi-audio functionality. YouTube does support dubbing natively, but it's pretty low quality and you can't make any changes. So you have to sort of be willing to accept not a voice clone and about 70% quality without any changes to that. Or you can upload your own and have it be much higher quality. Now, a couple of implementation tips for teams that are rolling out AI dubbing or considering what that means inside of their workflows. I'll also talk a little bit about vendors here that you can use besides Kapwing. So First question here, how much does AI dubbing cost? So the simplest answer I can give here, it's actually a very complicated question, but the simplest answer I can give is about 50 cents to $3 per minute of video. And what that really represents is the cost of all of these elements of the pipeline together. So compared to the cost of an agency, that is very low. For us, the cost of translating our videos at Kapwing before we used AI for this was close to $10,000 for every target language that we wanted to reach. Now it's much faster and cheaper. We can bring that in-house and have full creative control. I also think that having it in-house means that there's fewer iterations, but we can also work with contractors and with agencies collaboratively on these projects too. Kapwing costs about $350 a month for our enterprise subscription plan, and that's not for a volume dubbing. If you're dubbing at volume, then you pay per minute of video. I put up here costs of each one of the vendors, but I did indicate here how expensive they are relative to each other. Lip sync is by far the most expensive technology, and it has come pretty far. I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone interested about best lip sync vendors, but it still is pretty low quality overall. And honestly, I'm not convinced that lip sync is part of the future. I think that it's very possible that AI dubbing will be done without lip sync so that it doesn't look like you're actually speaking the language. Okay, the second implementation question is, how do you do this? The first thing you can do is you can build this in-house using some of what I've just explained on the previous slide, some of the vendors. You can also use a vendor like Kapwing, which does enable you to take videos you've produced in-house, upload them into the cloud, and dub there. There's a couple of other good vendors for this that are industry leader. 11 Labs is one of them. Rask is a new startup that just does this. All they do is AI dubbing. YouTube also does this for free. They don't offer voice cloning, but they do offer just straight up AI dubbing. Those are all some of the pros and cons of using each of these. Happy to speak to this later if people want to go in depth. That is all that I have. Happy to take questions from the crowd if people have things they want to discuss. And I would also love to connect with anyone who's interested here or later. Contact me through LinkedIn or through email.
Hey, Julia, thank you. So you talked about how you're making about a 2% improvement every month. Do users who are using Kapwing have to wait for a version up, a new rollout, or is that constantly being integrated?
Good question. It's constantly being integrated. So because Kapwing is based fully in the cloud, we push updates almost every single day. And if there's problems, we can make changes invisibly. Users don't need to download or install an update. It's always up to date.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Are there any legal implications with the voice cloning? How do you handle that?
Definitely there are. Creators need to have permission of a voice clone that they create. For us, when we use AI dubbing, we only clone the voice from the video. So you can't integrate a voice unless you've kind of separately created a voice clone from data that you own. We have a verification process basically for ensuring that creators own the data they upload. Today, there is just a self opt-in to saying you own the content you've made a voice clone from. Yeah.
Thank you, Julia. A question. You mentioned about lip sync that you don't think there's much of a future in that. I'm intrigued to know more about that, and also your thoughts on lip dub. If you've seen lip dub, and what your thoughts are in terms of the face morphing.
Yeah. So my opinion about, and this is completely first my perspective, is that the lip sync it looks a little odd and it takes the viewer in a little bit into the uncanny valley. We do offer lip sync on our dubbing suite, and I would say about 40% of our customers are using lip sync after they run a dub. So certainly some people are using it for their videos, but I think that it's unnecessary to take the person into the uncanny valley and for them to just know that this was not the original language that was spoken. This is similar to, we used to call it like UN style dubs, where you play the background audio at 10% in the background so that the viewer knows that it's not the original language. I think the same thing with lip sync. It's sort of trying to achieve something that I'm not sure is actually the desirable effect. What lip sync does help with is the timing element. So let's say you translated text, or the translated version is much longer than the original speaker. they basically, the video they'll speak and then they'll be silent. Their lips won't be moving, but the audio will continue on. And lip sync can be helpful, I think, for helping to close some of those timing gaps if those exist. What do I think about lip sync? I think that it is like lip sync is also helpful for what I would call overdub, which is essentially inserting a word or correcting a word that someone spoke in a video to a limited degree. So there are certainly, I would guess, I'm not sure if that's what lip dub is doing, but they might be using that kind of
face
technology.
morphing to match the new language.
Interesting. I haven't seen the morphing itself, so I can't say. One more thing about lip sync is that it looks pretty different on different faces, male and female, for example, different races. And so I think it's, even when we get there for one type of face, it's still got farther to go.